Last week we looked at marriage. This week I'm going to look at how do you have an awesome family, fighting for an awesome family. I chose this word intentionally, fighting, because families are not awesome by accident. By accident, they're average. And you have to fight for your family if you want it to be a great family, because there are all kinds of forces working against your family in our society. Now, I'm not going to spend a minute detailing those. I don't want to make a laundry list or a litany of all of the things that are working against the family today, but there are economic forces, there are spiritual forces, there are moral forces, there are cultural and social forces that want to destroy the idea of family, and specifically your family. What I'm much more interested in is looking at the positive side, and that is, how do you fight for an awesome family? You know, when the families of Jerusalem were under attack thousands of years ago, the leader, Nehemiah, said this. Look up here on the screen. He said to the people, don't be afraid. Remember the Lord who is awesome. Everything's awesome, including God. And we're looking at awesome relationships. Remember the Lord who is awesome, and fight for your brothers, fight for your sons, fight for your daughters, fight for your wives, fight for your homes. He's saying your family is worth fighting for. Don't just give up and say, well, it can't change. It can't be any different. It's too late. It's not too late. No matter where you are on the continuum of family, starting out or at the end, or helping a new family develop, no matter where you are, it's not too late to fight to make your family better. Now, what I want to share with you today is not just from God's word, but from 40 years of counseling families. And I have discovered, after talking to thousands and thousands of families, that you can find 4 common traits in families that are really awesome. And we're going to look at those today. And in order to help you remember these 4 traits of an awesome family, whether you're a brother or a sister in a family, or you're a mother or father, or you're a child, or whatever you are, these are 4 things that make an awesome family. And the first symbol of an awesome family is this board game called Candyland. Okay. How many of you remember the board game Candyland? How many of you played this game, Candyland? How many of you wish you never have to play it again? Yeah. All the hands of preschool moms just went up just now. This doesn't require a whole lot of intelligence to play this game. In fact, it says ages 3 years and up. It's a pure game of chance. But why does the game Candyland represent awesome families? Here's the first reason, write it down. Awesome families are playful. It's the first common denominator of great families. They know how to play. They know how to have fun. They enjoy life together. This is a missing ingredient in so many families today. Today, our families are too busy, too tired, too negative, too worn out, and too serious. Who wants to come home from school to that? Families should be fun. The average family is all work and no play. It's just getting us to the next appointment. Awesome families are fun. Awesome families are playful. Now, at Blocktober, you know, we had tens of thousands of kids here at the Lake Forest campus. So I decided I'd do a little kid on the street interviews. And today I'm going to share with you some of the results. And one of the questions I asked kids was, what fun things does your family like to do together? And watch these answers.
I like to spend time with them and go swimming. I just like to play with my family. Go to parties and try at fun places. I like to go to Legoland and ride train. Play soccer, go to the beach.
Make jokes.
Make jokes?
Yeah.
I like to help my mom cook. Go to the skate park. Oh, play tennis. I like to go bike riding and surfing. We sometimes make cookies. Play tag. I like to do crafts. We like to go to Disneyland. Go to Disneyland? Go to Disneyland. Go to Disneyland.
Yeah.
Open presents with my family at my birthday and Christmas. Go to church.
And we have family dinners and family Bible study too.
Sometimes I like to go bowling and go here.
Bowling and what?
Go to Saddleback Church.
And Saddleback Church. Oh, sure, of course. That kid's gonna be a pastor. That's my new intern, little Pastor Rick, right there. Now, the fact is, your family is not a boot camp, and parents are not drill sergeants. And your family is not a business, and parents are not CEOs. And your family is not a laboratory experiment, and your parents are not research scientists experimenting and go, let's add a little of this and a little of this. We're gonna make the perfect little child. There is no perfect child, and there is no perfect family. And there is no science to being a family. It's an art. It's an art. But the Bible has a lot to say about it, and one of the things that it has to say is that families are supposed to be fun. Most people know that the Bible teaches we're supposed to work, and the Bible tells us that we're to work hard, and the Bible says that if we're lazy, we shouldn't even eat. Work is an important part of your life. But most people don't know that the Bible says that play is an important part of your life. And play is essential to adults, not just to children. In fact, play is connected to creativity. The more play you have in life, the more creative you're gonna be. If you don't have anything play, any fun in your life, you're not a very creative person. All work, no play makes Jack a dull boy. And so you need to have fun in your life. And the Bible talks about this and actually commands it. Let me show you some scriptures. This first section is from Ecclesiastes, written by Solomon, who was the wisest man who ever lived. God said, what do you want me? He said, I want to be the wisest man who ever lived. God said, I'll answer that request. So let's look at some verses. Ecclesiastes 8:15, Solomon says, I commend the enjoyment of life. Circle the word enjoyment. As I said, we know that play is extremely important to development. In fact, we've known for years that play is essential to preschoolers. For preschoolers, play is work. They're actually developing when they play. And recess is not a waste of time. Kids are developing as much at recess as they are sitting down with a book open or things like that. Paul says, up here on the screen, look at this verse, 1 Timothy 6:17. God generously gives us everything for our what? Did you realize that everything in the world God created, He created for you to enjoy? Now listen, God wants life to be enjoyed, not merely endured. And a lot of you are simply enduring life. God wants you to enjoy life. The wisest man who ever lived, Solomon says, I commend the enjoyment of life. God says everything I created is for enjoyment. If you're too busy to enjoy life, you're too busy. God meant for you to play and to have some fun. Ecclesiastes 11:7. People ought to enjoy every day, not just on a weekend, not just vacation, ought to enjoy every day of their lives, no matter how long they live. Now, why is that important that you enjoy every day? Because you don't know how long you're gonna live. You don't know if you've got next week, next month. You don't know if you've got tomorrow. You don't know if you've got tonight. So whatever living you're gonna do, you better do it now, not say, well, I'm gonna enjoy life in retirement. No, you need to enjoy life now. And if you have children, you need to be enjoying life with the children because the kids aren't gonna be at home forever. When my kids were growing up, I determined that the number one thing I wanted them to know about our family was not that we were godly, it was not that we were smart, it was not, whatever thing else, but that they were loved and that we had fun together. And I created all kinds of things just to have fun that weren't very expensive. One of them was called Daddy's Magical Mystery Tour. And the kids loved it, and it's a hallowed reputation in our family. I now do it with the grandkids. In Daddy's Magical Mystery Tour, I'd take my kids when they were young, they're all in preschool or grade school, and they get in their pajamas, they go to bed at 7 o'clock. And long about 11 o'clock or midnight, I'd go in and wake them all up. Get out of bed! Get out of bed right now. It's time for Daddy's Magical Mystery Tour. And they go, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It means this, A, we're not going to school tomorrow. And B, we're about to have something really, really fun. Now it could be something expensive, like one time I woke them all up. We didn't have a pool, we didn't have a hot tub or a jacuzzi, and so I woke them all up one time about midnight. We put them in the car in their pajamas, drove down to Carlsbad, checked into a hotel that had a master bedroom with a giant, giant bathtub. We filled it with water and a bunch of bubbles, all jumped in our swimming suits, grabbed a bunch of junk food, and had a party. at 1 o'clock in the morning with first graders and third graders. And now, they all didn't have to be that expensive. Sometimes I'd wake them up in the middle of the night and say, we're gonna go make a 15-cent ice cream run at Thrifty's. And Kay was going, you can't do that. She was the rule keeper, I was the funmeister. And by the way, you need both in a marriage. So if you watched last week's message, you know what we're talking about. But we had so much fun. Now I want you to write this sentence down, and it applies to you, whether you're a parent or not, whether you ever get married or not. Here's an important thing in life. People don't remember what you say, but they will remember how you made them feel. That's important advice for a boss, for an employer, for a husband, for a boyfriend, for a girlfriend, for a parent, for a husband or wife. People will not remember what you say. They will remember how you made them feel. My kids don't remember anything of what I said in the early years of their lives, but they do remember how Daddy made them feel. Awesome families are playful. They're Candyland families. They have a lot of fun. Now, Solomon gets very specific about the kind of fun you're supposed to have in a family. Ecclesiastes 9, verse 9, he says this, enjoy life with your wife. Enjoy life with your wife whom you love. Dads, if you're a dad here today, the greatest gift you can give your children is to love their mom. To have fun and enjoy life with their mom. Enjoy life with your wife whom you love. You see, when a father shows love for the mother of the kids, it creates great stability. It creates great security. It creates great peace in the heart of little children. And when I hear couples saying, well, you know, we really can't afford or can't have time to go out because of the kids, serious mistake. Serious mistake. Your kids need to see you loving each other because you are the first and greatest model of relationships. And if they see parents just passing in the night and working, but no real relationship, that's what they're gonna grow up thinking marriage is all about. Love your wife, enjoy life with your wife. The Bible says in Psalm 127, children are a gift from God. They are a gift from God. Now, let's be honest. Sometimes they're a gift you'd like to exchange. Okay, but they are a gift, okay? They are a gift. And what is a gift? A gift is given and it's meant to be enjoyed. Are you enjoying your kids, or are they just your pet project? You're gonna grow up right, and it's all serious, and you're not enjoying the gift that God gave you. Psalm 8:15. This one's gonna blow your mind. Look at this verse on the screen. You should write this one down. It says, I recommend having fun. Did you know that verse is in the Bible? The wisest man who ever lived said, I recommend having fun. And that way, you'll experience some happiness along all the hard work that God gives you. Now, you know, I asked the producers of these little kid on the street interviews to give a lot of variety of answers. And I said, don't all put the same, because honestly, I was stunned, I was shocked, I was amazed at how when I asked, what's the number one thing you like to do with your family? I got the same answer over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And it shocked me in an age of technology and an age of all these different entertainment places. The number one answer was not go to Disneyland or go to an amusement park. The number one answer that kids said, when you like to do something with your family, what's the number one thing you like to do? It was over and over, play board games. The number one answer. It wasn't play video games. You would have thought that. It was play board games. Why? Because video games are one-on-one personal game. Board games, you actually interact with adults. And that's why they said you like it. We're sitting around the table, my mom and dad are there, and we're playing board games together. The number two answer, what do you love to do with your kids, with your family most? Number two answer was go to a park. Go to a park? How old-fashioned can you get? He said, what do you do at a park? We throw Frisbee, we play catch, we play tag, we lay around, we talk, we have a picnic. And the number 3 answer, you'd figure this in Orange County, go to the beach. In all 3 answers, what was the common denominator? Time with parents. It wasn't Disneyland, it was time with parents. You see, I talk to guys all the time, says, I don't get it. Successful businessman, I don't get it. I buy my wife and kids all these trinkets and things, and I give them everything they need. What do they want? I'll tell you what they want. They want you. They want your attention. They want your focus. They want your eyes. They want your time. You spell love, T-I-M-E. The greatest gift you can give your kids is your time, because when you give them your time, you're giving your life. You can always buy things. Kids don't need things. They need time. They need fun with the family. They need fun in the home. They need it to not be a boot camp or something we're just all working on. They want time with you. And so Candyland is the symbol of an awesome family, because awesome families are playful. Now, the second symbol of an awesome family is a watering can. A watering can, because we use this to water flowers, plants, vegetables. And in many ways, a family is like a garden. You have to grow it. You have to develop it. You have to cultivate it. A garden doesn't grow on its own. You have to weed it. You have to water it. You have to care for it. And this is the second characteristic of awesome families that makes them different from average families. Write this down. Awesome families encourage growth. They create an atmosphere of lifelong learning. They help each other develop. And one of the things that you do in an awesome family is you support each other. And I'm not just talking about the kids growing up. I'm saying that you're always growing. Your family never stops growing. Mom never stops growing. Everybody encourages mom to grow. Dad never stops growing. Everybody encourages dad to grow. Brother, sister, everybody encourages everybody to keep growing. If you're not growing, your family is boring. You're just stuck in a rut. You haven't learned anything new, developed any new interest in a long time. Your family's boring. Now look at how Jesus grew. The Bible tells us in Luke 2:52, this is when Jesus was 12 years old. It says, Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and favor with men. Now notice, there are 4 kinds of growth you want to have in your family. You grow in wisdom, that's intellectual growth, mental growth. You grow in stature, that's physical health. You grow in favor with God, that's spiritual growth. And you grow in favor with man, that's social growth. Every person in your family needs to be growing in all 4 of these, not just the kids, but you, mom, you, dad, you, brother, you, sister. You need to be growing physically, mentally, spiritually, and socially. How are you going to be different a year from today? Do you know any more than you knew a year ago? Are you closer to God than you were a year ago? Are you more loving than you were a year ago? Are you literally growing? Awesome families encourage growth. Average families just stay the same. Nobody changes, nobody grows. Now I asked the kids, what have you learned in your family? And here's what they said.
It's not all about me, and then it's about other people, and you need to love. They always teach me homework. They've taught me a lot of math, a lot of Spanish. They taught me how to read and write. They've taught me to never run away at Disneyland. Not say bad words. Like if my brother gets mad at me, I shouldn't get mad at him and get back. Do not talk to strangers. To be kind.
Be kind.
And if you don't be kind, you don't get any friends. God's love never stops.
Don't copy the behaviors of this world.
Try to be teachable.
My mom teaches me how to hula hoop.
Hula hoop.
Even if it's hard to tell the truth, that you should always do it.
Manners?
Well, my dad always says manners make the man.
They taught me a lesson about God.
That family never gives up, and that family is always there. You can always count on them to be there for you.
Even when you go through hard times, always trust in God, and because He'll help you get through it.
Now, what do we really learn from our families? Well, there's some things, if you don't learn them in your family, you're never going to learn them. You can't learn them at school, you can't learn them at work, you only can learn them in your family. And I will tell you this, most of your problems as an adult comes from the fact that you didn't learn certain things correctly as a child. And if you didn't learn certain skills as a child, then you're gonna have a rough life the rest of your life. There are 5 things you must learn in your family. And if you don't learn them there, life's gonna be tough for you. You might write these down. The first one is, the first thing we have to learn is what to do with feelings. One of the most important skills in life. How do I handle my emotions? What do I do with them? How do I deal with how I feel? What do you do with feelings? And in a good, awesome family, you learn how to recognize your feelings, how to name your feelings, how to own up to your feelings, how to identify your feelings, how to express your feelings correctly rather than incorrectly, how not to stuff them, and how to deal with how you feel. If you don't learn how to deal with how you feel in your family, you go through life an emotional cripple. You have to relearn it somewhere else. And the reason why so many marriages split up is because they didn't learn in their family how to deal with how you feel correctly and effectively. And you need to let people be honest and let kids express their emotions. One of the stupidest things a parent can say is, stop crying, don't cry, don't cry. Why? Crying, there's nothing wrong with crying. Tears are a gift from God. If you're telling your kids, stuff your emotions, stuff your emotions, stuff your emotions, they're gonna have problems with their emotions the rest of their life. There's nothing wrong with crying. There's nothing to be ashamed of with crying. And telling your kids stop crying is saying, deny your emotions, deny how you feel, and you learn to stuff it. And that comes out in all kinds of strange relationship patterns later on. In a true family, in an awesome family, we learn how to recognize that's a good emotion, that's a harmful emotion. And we learn to name it, own it, speak about it, identify it, talk about it. That's a key. So you name them, you don't stuff them. Second skill you have to learn in the family is how to handle conflict. And if you don't learn how to handle conflict in your marriage or in your family, you're gonna have problems in your marriage because you don't know, nobody taught you the skills on how to resolve and clarify conflict. And if kids don't see their parents working problems out in front of them and showing how, this is how we deal when we have a difference. This is how we deal when we get hurt, how we deal with when we get mad. Then you have a problem with that. And what happens is most people in conflict, they become either a mute and a martyr or they become a maniac. They either hold it in or they explode it. Everybody, if you don't learn how to deal with conflict, you tend to become a skunk or a turtle. Now skunks, when they're upset, they let everybody know it. They just stink up the place. And they spray and everybody knows they're ticked off. A turtle pulls into their shell and isolates and pulls back out of fear of conflict. Now, here's the interesting thing. Skunks always marry turtles. Don't look at them. But you know one of you is a skunk and one of you is a turtle in your marriage, all right? It's true in every single marriage, all right? One of you is the aggressor and one of you pulls back, and neither of these is the more godly approach. So neither of you get the higher upper ground morally. They're both ineffective ways to deal with conflict. A third thing, really big thing you have to learn in family is how to handle loss. Because you're gonna have a lot of losses in life. You're gonna have big losses, you're gonna have small losses. And you gotta teach kids, and even parents have to learn how to grieve a loss. Because nobody wins all the time. In fact, for a kid to have an unbroken string of wins in early life with no losses is actually detrimental to them. You don't want your kid to win all the time, because when they get out in the real world and they face the inevitable losses that they're not number one all the time, It's devastating if they haven't learned that failure won't kill you. Failure won't destroy you. A loss won't be the end of your life. You don't win everything. It's like if you're in a professional baseball team, it's actually good to have a few losses in preseason because then the pressure's off. What you don't want to do is have an unbroken season of all perfect wins and then lose in the Super Bowl. That's the painful. If you're going to lose, you might as well lose early in life and learn from it. And so we learn how to deal with losses. And we treat the losses of kids as big things so they can learn how to grieve. I remember when Matthew, my youngest, was quite young, and he had a pet hamster named Wilson. And Wilson died. Now, we didn't treat it and say, oh, he's just a hamster. Come on. I mean, really, it's just a glorified rat, you know. We didn't just poo-poo and say, oh, you can get another one. I'll get you another one tomorrow. No, we treated it very seriously. We had a family funeral for Wilson. And we went down into the canyon and we buried him in a little box and we all stood around and we each had our little say of how much we loved Wilson and how much he meant to our family and things like that. And what I was doing is I was teaching the kids the theology of grief. That it's okay to express grief. It's okay to be sad. In fact, you're going to be sad many, many times in life in much bigger ways. And so we don't demean it, we don't dismiss it. We deal with the losses of life. You know, there's another board game that we played a lot growing up. You know this one too. It's called Chutes and Ladders. How many remember Chutes and Ladders? How many have played Chutes and Ladders? Yeah. This is a metaphor for life, friends, because life is a matter of chutes and ladders. You roll the dice, and when you hit a ladder, you get to go up, and you roll the dice, and when you hit a chute, you go down. And that's the way life works. It's not all ups and downs. Now, one of the advantages of games like Chutes and Ladders is because in games of chance, it puts adults on the exact same level as a kid. You don't have any advantage with your college degree in playing Chutes and Ladders. Okay? It's just a roll of the dice, so you're no better than a 2-year-old at playing this game. And the fact is in life, some things actually take you up, and you're gonna have some real successes in life, but don't get full of pride and don't get full of ego, because on the next roll, you're gonna hit a chute and you're going down. And sometimes you're ahead of everybody else in the family, but in 2 roles, you may be behind everybody else in the family. That's life. That's life. That's the way life is. And it's teaching kids how to have ups and downs in life and not get upset about it. A game like this teaches things like take your turn. And some people never learn to take their turn. You can see them on the freeway. Okay, they're just cutting off everybody else. It's not like take your turn in getting into that lane, okay? It teaches teamwork, but the main thing it teaches is how to win graciously and how that losing won't destroy you, that it's just a part of life. So that's one of the reasons, the values of board game is that it teaches us how to handle losses. One of the verses you need to memorize, whether you're a parent or not, every person should memorize this verse. Write it down. Proverbs 24:16. You need to teach this verse to your children. Proverbs 24:16. It's one of my life verses. It says this here on the screen. Even if good people fall 7 times, they'll get back up again. I love that verse. It says, even good people fall. The word there actually in Hebrew is the word righteous. It says, though a righteous man falls 7 times, he rises again. Even when good people fall, you know what? Even the best people, the well-intentioned people, they stumble, they mess up, they flub, they say the wrong thing, they do the wrong thing. We all fall, we all stumble, we all mess up. And when we fall, that's not the important thing. It says good people get back up again, even if they fall 7 times. That's the difference between a success and a failure. That verse is talking about what psychologists call resilience. Resilience is the most important characteristic for a child if they're going to succeed in life. Resilience. Do they have the ability to get back up again? They fall off the bike. See, a lot of kids learn, I'm not even going to try because I stumbled once, so I give up. I went to one practice at music and I didn't like it, so I'm just going to give up. I went to one game in soccer and I didn't like it. All right, I messed up. I embarrassed myself, so I'm going to give up. And so people learn to give up, and then they spend the rest of their lives facing challenges and giving up. But in teaching a child resilience to keep on getting back up, those are the leaders of the world are people who have the most resilience. They're not any more successful. They have just as many losses in life. It's just they don't give up. And they are resilient. Chutes and ladders, metaphor for life. Number four, fourth thing we learn from our families is we learn what values matter most. What values matter most. And you have to just help your kids know this is important and this is not. Now, would you agree that the world is teaching our kids values that aren't very good? Everybody agree with that one? All around us, the world is teaching our kids values that we don't agree with. The world teaches that all that matters is how you look, that image is everything. Doesn't matter what your character is, it's how you look. The world teaches that the more money you have, the more important you are, the more successful, the more fulfilled you'll be, the more significant your life is. That's not true. The world teaches is that everything is about sex. It's not. It's not. The world teaches that the more you can get people to praise you, the more valuable you are. That's not true. And our kids are learning a lot of values from movies, from video games, from songs, from their friends, from all of culture, all these things that aren't true. It's important to teach our kids the three basic temptations of life. The only good thing you can say about Satan is he's entirely predictable and he doesn't have any new temptations. There are only three temptations. The Bible calls them the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. It has to do with how I feel, what I do, and what I get in life. Secularists or philosophy would call them hedonism, materialism, and secularism. But basically, it's sex, salary, and status. It's basically saying life is about three things: getting all the good things you can, possessions, having all of the pleasure you want, regardless of how it hurts other people, passion, and becoming important and having status, that's position. These are the three temptations that Jesus went through, that Moses went through, that Adam went through. I could take you through the whole Bible. And teaching our kids what these are so they can recognize false values. That what matters most in life is sex, what matters most in life is money, and what matters most in life is power, prestige, and popularity. They're just not true. And every single advertising ever created by anybody appeals to one of these three temptations. Every single one. Every print ad, broadcast ad, TV ad appeals to the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life. And the product says, you get our product, you'll be sensual, you'll feel good, you just have all kinds of pleasure inside of you. Or if you get our product, you'll be envied. You're number one, we do what's best for you, look out for number one, and I gotta do what's best for me. And it's all about you. Or materialism, you need this product because it'll make you significant. It'll make you important. You know, when my kids were little, I taught them these three values. I said, these are the three values you're gonna be up against, and none of them are true. And we would stand in front of the TV and watch commercials, and I would pay them a nickel for the one who could figure out which value was being promoted by that ad. Lust of flesh, boom, here's a nickel. Now, I realized that was materialism. But at least they were learning to spot what most kids and even adults accept without question. We teach our kids the values that matter most. And the fifth thing we learn from our families is good habits. Good habits. Habits or determine your character. In one of the interviews I did at Blocktober, one little kid said, I said, what did you learn from your family? He said that manners make the man. He said, my dad tells me that all the time. Manners make the man. I thought, whoa, I know CEOs who don't know that. They're mean, they're rude, they're bossy, they're pushy, they're prima donnas. They don't know that manners make the man. I'm going, that little kid knows more than that CEO does about the real issue of character. By the way, if you want to read a good book on some of these things, what we learned, we have a couple in our church that have written an outstanding book. Milan and Kay Yerkovich, well-known counselors, Christian counselors, have written a book, How We Love Our Kids. And I highly recommend that book.